This is why training to be a teacher can be tough.
Teaching is a job where you could spend 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year working on.
We start at the bottom, then we go back.
It is very, very a demanding course. I don't think they'll ever have to work any harder than this.
And this is what sometimes happens to trainee teachers.
I've had to drop my exercise classes, I've had to miss out on going to social functions, and I've actually changed my lifestyle simply to become a teacher.
Getting up, having food, going to uni or coming here, and then going home and starting work again, maybe having an hour an evening if I'm lucky, and then going to bed and getting up and doing it again.
This programme aims to help you manage your time more effectively.
Tutorial.
It's 8 a.m. Trainee teacher Brett Shah is on full-time teaching practice.
I live in halls, so generally can't get to sleep before 1 o'clock or so. I've had about 4 hours, I think. Hello, Glenys. I haven't been able to get any breakfast because I've been setting up. A breakfast club helps the work-life balance because you go straight from home, OK, you come into work, but it's still phased in, OK, and then you've got your work proper straight after breakfast. So it's easier, it's nicer that way. It's good for building relationships with the children.
Got to look after you. I'll
Thank
make
you,
you not
Glenys.
chocolate, Brett, and I'll...
Thank you very much,
You're going
Glenys.
to stay in here?
Yeah.
It's also an early start for Adele Holmes. She's training to be an RE teacher.
This morning I got up again at 6. I was out of the house by 6:45.
I've left me dinner. I prepared it yesterday.
Oh, dinner's not a problem.
Yeah, about 2 o'clock. And then I thought, right, it's there, it's done, I don't have to think about it. Got up this morning, got ready and just walked straight out of the house and didn't even think about it.
You've got a lot on your mind today, love.
I know.
Adele spends 1 day a week in school, and university commitments easily fill the rest of the time.
We do have an awful lot of work from uni. We're in uni 3 days a week. From that, we get a minimum of an assessment a week, which is normally around 2,000 to 7,000 words.
Like the other 2 trainee teachers, Rachel Wilby, who's on a 4-year B.Ed, is finding the lesson planning that's such a big part of teaching practice hard going.
You do find yourself getting in earlier in the mornings, just to get, you've got so many more lessons to get ready, and all of a sudden it's sort of 11:30 at night and you're thinking, I've got to get to bed. It just goes ridiculously fast. Luckily I don't have a part-time job at the moment, so it's not an added worry. So it is just completely focused on placement and nothing else.
Well, we would definitely advise trainees not to have a part-time job because they haven't got the time. This is such an intensive course, an intensive year, that we certainly advise them not to do that.
With planning looming so large for trainee teachers, time management is a skill that it's simply essential to learn.
Often teachers really don't know where time goes. It's quite a good idea just to keep a diary and see what it is that is eating up time. The School Teachers Pay and Review body does a survey, I think every 3 years, where they get many teachers to complete these diaries, which is great because then you can compare yourself with the average primary teacher or secondary teacher nationally and think, oh well, I suppose I'm not dissimilar to those, or oh yikes, I can see I'm working many more hours on my marking than other people. So what am I doing wrong?
I have a rule of thumb: 1 minute of teaching, 1 minute of planning. So 1 hour of teaching, 1 hour of planning. If you're going over that, then really you ought to be thinking about how you're doing it and get some advice, see if you can cut that time down.
In terms of using resources in my teaching, I have found the internet to be my best friend at the moment. I've just written my unit of work on Hinduism, and I did pinch or download, shall we say, a resource from Teachers TV, which was a video which looked at the pathways to God in Hinduism. And I did find that really useful.
It's getting wiped on the computer.
But beware of classic displacement activity.
The ability to make a worksheet or a label look beautiful is actually a bad thing. because we sometimes spend more time on something than we need to, and it kind of makes us feel as though we're keeping busy and achieving things, but actually we're achieving very little.
I tend to have a school lunch. You know, it's a healthy dinner, so it's better to have a warm dinner that way. So that keeps me refueled and energised for the afternoon. But, you know, I probably need to get a bit more of a balance. Need to exercise more in the evening, eat healthier foods instead of the quick takeaways and the fast foods that I'm eating in order to save a bit of time so I can spend a bit of extra time lesson planning.
Build up your resilience, your physical resilience. You know, you need to be fit and healthy if you're a teacher, because there are so many bugs and lurgies that if you start getting ill, then you're slower to do things. Life is much harder.
Experienced teachers can be a wonderful resource for trainees, and they'll seldom object to a request for help and advice.
Well, I find as though like I'm working pretty much all the time. The only time I get to myself is like an evening meal in about an hour or so, maybe.
The secret is in prioritising. Now, I know at the moment for you, everything's top priority, but eventually you get to kind of prioritise things that you know that something has to be done straight away, something can be left, something can be worked on, you know, at a later date.
At the end of every week, he needs to think, what is the list of things I've got to do next week? What must I do? And what should I do? And in actual fact, the only list he needs to really do is his must-do list.
I also do very, very strict timings. Twice a week I go out at 9 o'clock, and I know I have to go out at 9 o'clock, and it's amazing how you get your work done in that time, because you know that you're going to go out at 9 o'clock. You can kind of stretch your work out to fill the time that you've got, and you find that the shorter time that you've got, the quicker that you do your work.
School finishes 3 o'clock, but I don't go home at 3 o'clock. I stay here as late as possible. Yesterday I was here till 6 o'clock, so that's an extra 3 hours.
What is crazy is when people stay at school for several hours after lesson time, not actually achieving much, and they would be better off going home, having something to eat, chilling out, and then doing, you know, just an hour later on in the evening when they're fresh.
Oh, I was supposed to text people to let them know how it went.
Yeah, didn't have time.
How bad is that? You don't have time to send a text message.
It can be difficult for trainees to turn down requests to attend after-school meetings and planning sessions.
But before that, can I just say thank you to everybody on behalf of all the teachers, all the teaching assistants that have stayed late to finish off displays. I think the work has been absolutely fantastic.
So do you have a ready-made stock of these resources, or is it a case of just finding what you can?
Got a cupboard next door which is all beautifully sorted out, but we will need to find these kind of things for them.
But sometimes you need to find the right way to say no.
Occasionally, I think new teachers and trainee teachers perhaps have too much asked of them by their school. And I think rather than saying an outright no, or just getting burdened with more and more things to do, ask the person who's made the request of you that you think might be a little unreasonable about what you should prioritise.
Don't be afraid to shut off, don't be afraid to say no, and claim some time for yourself. That's really important, and make sure you switch off at the end of the day.
All I want to do is I want to go to bed, I want to go to sleep. It's been a tiring day, but I've got all the follow-up work to do. If I don't do it now, I'll forget things. I've just done some lesson planning, so I might as well type up how I did the planning as well. So, you know, it all needs doing. It either gets done now or it gets done later. But eventually, once that's done, that's it, quit. And I'm going to have a relaxing evening. Come back tomorrow and it all starts again. More fun and games.
I tried to get most of my work done before the evening, sort of 7 o'clock at the latest I'll finish. So I've got a bit of time in the evenings just to chill out, watch a bit of TV and things like that.
Trainee teachers should remember that all work and no play makes Jack or Jill a dull person.
What that's all about. I literally just got home, I think it was about 4:30 yesterday, had a cup of tea and then got on with the work. Worked until about, I'd say about 10, 10:30 on my lesson, but then I had some uni work to do as well. So I worked from 10:30 till 12 on my uni work, and then I was up at 6 and in here this morning.
The main job of a teacher is to teach those children. And I think, you know, if you've been sat up till 3 o'clock in the morning planning and preparing, then you're not going to be in a really fit state over a period of time to be at your best.
A bit of mutual moaning can serve as great therapy for trainee teachers.
Considering the workload and the fact that you're living and breathing teaching at the minute, it's nice to talk to somebody who is living and breathing that aspect as well, because although you adore your family and your friends, they don't always understand the complete process because they're not in it. So it's really nice to be with people who know how tiring it is, know how hard your workload is.
How did your day go today, Delta?
It was all right. Absolutely worn out though, and I was petrified, and I've been up since 4 o'clock trying to learn the parables of Jesus. How many times have you been out then since you started the course?
Once with you guys. We went out all day at the beginning, didn't we?
Yeah.
I went to the cinema when I saw you.
Oh yeah, I was there.
By accident.
I don't follow you.
And I went out on Saturday, and that's...
So do you reckon, like, what, 4 times maybe? I really don't get time to breathe.
I think it's really important to commit yourselves to some social events or some non-work events, and try and keep it regular so that, you know, it's Monday nights, it's 8 o'clock, I must be doing something else. So just having 1 or 2 of those events a week and sticking to it, I think, is really important, even when you're tired. I, in fact, wouldn't have met my husband had I not gone out on a Thursday night, which was a very, very rare event for me when I was first a teacher.
You actually realise how much time you spent on stupid little things before you did this job, and how much time you wasted. Whereas now I value my free time completely, and when I do have free time, I make sure that I do something I enjoy.
And find some time on a weekend to make sure you have some real life, because children don't want to sit and listen to a dull, boring teacher that's never done anything and spends their life completely in school. Although I'm sure some children do think that that's all you do, that your bed's somewhere in the corner.
I think having a life and hobbies outside teaching makes you a nice, rounded person. And I think it's good to be able to talk to the children about what you did at the weekend, or activities that you do, books that you've read, films that you've seen. But most of all, you will be a better teacher if you are a happy person.